our September artists, sorry. And the name of the show is Souvenirs of Past Methodologies. And Diana, I enjoyed so much putting up the show, looking at it, thinking about it, and you call yourself a collage artist, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, you know what? I want to call you a collage/mosaic artist because they fit together and are deliberate in my mind like mosaics, and you make these lovely, lovely, contemplative, delicate, intriguing, engrossing, complicated yet simple. They're intuitive pieces.
Thank you.
I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about this body of work. Behind me, we have 3 birds, well, actually 4 and an owl. And then we have another image up there of the adoration of St. Patrick, sorry.
That's okay.
Tell me about those pieces.
Well, the concept came to me, it came to me probably in my early 20s when I really started in my artwork and getting comfortable. The Adoration of St. Patrick is actually one of my first complete pieces, which is based on some of the ideas from Toulouse-Lautrec, as well as the Orthodox religion, the icons in the Orthodox religion. The idea of environmentalism as well, a smaller carbon footprint. For me, at a time when I wanted to show my work, financially I was unable to have my work framed professionally, so I would go out, buy artwork secondhand that had really great frames. I would remove the painting from within there and create my own piece of art to fit into the frame, reframe it. And then the idea of just having extra oil paintings laying around, I thought, well, you know, and with any great idea, it always comes with wine. I decided to cut up the pieces and collage them and put them together. As well as nature, to me, is just an amazing thing that we are all part of, and we have a tendency to forget that we're part of. So the birds are one of the wild animals that we interact with almost daily, and I can't imagine a day without the song of a bird, you know, or the beauty or the delicacy of a bird. So that was kind of the idea behind the birds, and it felt good, it felt right when I was collaging and painting with them. So that's kind of what I've been rolling with, although I'm starting to move away from the birds and kind of getting into more ornate things like Mother Gaia, which you have not introduced yet, but like that piece.
Yes. To me, what I love is that you have done this interesting thing with the frame. The frame then dictates what the piece becomes. There's this artist at the Tampa Museum of Art. His name is Wolfgang Flad, and it's the big sculpture that's hanging from the ceiling as you first walk in. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about him, and the two of you, although his work is differently assembled, it's the same thing. He takes stuff that's already here, and he creates these big sculptures through recycling and upcycling and turning it back to what it maybe was. And I feel like you kind of do that in a sense because you're reinventing it, but yet what was it in the beginning? It was just cut up pieces of canvas, right? That woven together, or threads that are woven together to make the canvas and then the paint, and then you break it back all down again.
Right.
And you make a piece. And I agree about the bird. I think everyone should have their most favorite bird and take our cues from our flying friends. Yes. So you give this moniker, this name of the show, Souvenirs of Past Methodologies. And so that's where I took that from, that you, things from the past making new. So what does that mean to you though?
That's really it in a nutshell. Souvenirs of Past Methodologies. So I'm not a formally trained artist. I've never had any classes. So I've never been taught the classic methods of art. The souvenirs being the old oil paintings cut up, brought together, and past methodologies, methods that I'm not familiar with, but methods that I have created on my own that work for me and my art. Those are the current methods.
Right, very intuitive. You're a very intuitive artist, and there's many artists, as we know, Diana, that did not get formally trained, but you're getting trained within the world, because even though you say that you haven't taken a class, you've studied these artists. I know you studied Toulouse-Lautrec, Van Gogh. It's interesting that you bring up Van Gogh, because his painting, the thick impasto, is like pieces of mosaic. And then you told me that you hearken back to the ancient city of Pompeii.
Yes.
And those, did you go to Pompeii, or what was Pompeii?
Pompeii is just an amazing story within itself with the volcanic explosion. But when you look at the ruins of Pompeii and you see the mosaic tiled pieces that they have from those times, they're just amazing. And that's kind of what I attempt to bring into my work too, is remnants of the past, but bringing it and giving it new life, as well as just in the tiling that I do.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, in art history, mosaic art is the very first art with that kind of art. Maybe it was tapestry, but it kind of came at the same time. So it just makes sense that those would have survived. And we know also that the volcano erupted, and not up till 100 years later did they start unearthing all these things and finding them. I'd say they're quite sustainable, wouldn't you?
Right. Probably more sustainable than my work. The tiles.
Who knows? Yeah. How do you glue the little pieces of canvas on there? They look very sturdy and secure. And
I have a very good friend of mine who loaned me well, not loaned, but gave me this material. It's copies, blueprint copies, which is what all my work is backed onto. And I use a glue, and I found that the glue and the oil painting actually sticks really well to this medium. So I've incorporated the blueprints as my background with the oil pieces on them.
Okay. I really enjoy that blueprint background. I would not have known that that was a deliberate. So I just learned something about your art, because I would have thought it was just sort of, I don't know, part of the elements, but it's indeed part of the structure.
Absolutely. There's kind of a lot going on hidden and not. There's a lot in plain sight.
Yeah, another thing about your title that I like and I think makes sense for you as a person is the rediscovery, right? The rediscovery of an old piece, making it into something different, because the different things that you like to go and journey and find. And so in my mind, tell me if this is right, you find the things and then the art evolves. It's not like you say, well, I'm going to make a heron, or I'm going to make it just evolves because you get the piece and then it comes to fruition. Is that right? Or
absolutely. I think every artist has a muse, and the muse tells you what to do. It just comes to you. Absolutely.
We have one piece here that you use a breaker box, and that's been a craft here in the studio. Very clever. And when did that come about? Did that just sort of evolve in your head, and and then it's sort of an organic shape in there, rather than the others are a little bit more identifiable images? It's just color and shape and texture.
The surprise behind the breaker box. It's a statement piece about how nature will always overcome no matter what. So the surprise inside the breaker box is a monarch cocoon. And
okay.
the breaker box was, we had to have our breaker box replaced, and that was the old breaker box. And I thought this would make a great frame. So I had it for many years. I kind of just had it sitting aside. And again, you know, this is the muse. We had, in our yard, we have a ton of pollinating plants. And we had an abundance of monarch cocoons. You would turn over a stone, there was a monarch cocoon. You'd move a light, there was a monarch cocoon. So that was where the idea came from, is that Mother Nature will overcome at some point, and she has to be flexible with the human species, and she is.
Yeah, that's a lovely story. I love that. I mean, that's kind of how I work too. I have to be inspired. I can't just sit down and like pop, you know, paint a painting. It has to, I mean, at this point, I have a lot of ideas going, so I can just draw from one. And I'm sure that that's the way it is for you too. You talk about Mother Gaia. She is your most recent piece?
She is.
Okay. And she seems like she's significant. You talk about nature and that feeling of nature, and you know, well, birds and it all. She's striking. She's warm and cool, whereas the other images are way cooler in your color choice, and or the colors that you found. But she is brilliant. Tell me about her.
Mother Gaia is a force that is welcoming, but also is one to be reckoned with, and is the mother of the earth, the spirit of the earth, if one would say. She has a large aura to represent her spirituality, as well as she is kind of coming through nature out to welcome you. She has the Indian Hamsa sign, which is to welcome, as well as the Orthodox aura. And being that also pulling from Greek mythology, the chimera, half woman, half deer, Diana, goddess of the moon. She's also part of that. So it's just kind of this large collaboration of the spirituality and the mother of the earth, the being, the heartbeat of the earth, and nature.
Well, this is a lovely, lovely collection, and you can tell that each is deliberate, yet is spontaneous. And I know those two words, when they're together, don't really make sense, but they work. You can just tell. If we wanted to go and look at the work, Diana doesn't have her, do you have Instagram? I'm so sorry, I can't remember.
I do not.
Yeah, but we do. So I want everybody to go to our Instagram account, discodolls_art, or our website, where you might be right now listening to this interview, thediscodolls.com. And we will post there. You can come to the studio and see Diana's show. We can make an appointment with Diana. She does have another job, so we'd have to make a date with her. But please come to our studio. We have masks here. We ask you to wear a mask. But these paintings, these collages, these mosaics, these wonderful pieces of work are worth coming to see up close and personal. There's hundreds of pieces in each piece that she's glued on and deliberately made this wonderful scenario where we can just jump right into and feel a part of. Do you have anything you'd like to add, or anything that I missed, or something that makes you tick that you want to tell us about?
Well, I'm sure you can tell by looking behind me, I have a very large vinyl collection, and that definitely makes me tick when I'm doing my art. But the music carries the muse. But other than that, I think you got most of it, Beth. I'm very impressed. Thank you so much.
Diana, thank you so much. Leanne, Christine, and I thank you so much for lending us your art. We have 2 pieces that are for sale. Please come and look at them. And that would be, we have a surprise behind the breaker box. So
yeah,
you have to see that one. And also one of the birds.
Yep. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you very much.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Might not be the best city in the world. It's the place that I call home. Might not have the best gas